Hey there, and welcome to Coffee with Regina. Today, I have my friend Jay Fairbrother with me, and he is like the mastermind king. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Regina.
So, before we get started, let me tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do. So, Jay is a serial entrepreneur, business coach, and a mastermind guru with 30 years of experience starting, buying, and selling seven-figure businesses. So, Jay's story includes losing everything. Oh my gosh, haven't most of us been there after the 2010 financial crisis, and rising from the shame to shine as the mastermind guy. I love that. The shame to shine, mastermind guy. Very rhymey there. And so what Jay does is he helps coaches and experts with the program's six-figure masterminds boot camp. So cool. We're going to talk about that. Mastermind mastery. Create and launch your high-end mastermind in 60 days. So that is what Jay is all about. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for giving me the platform and opportunity.
Yeah, when we chatted before and you were talking about the masterminds and all the stuff that you do, one of the things we talked about was, it takes so much time and effort to acquire a client. And for a lot of people, they have a client that comes and then all of a sudden they're gone. And there's some strategies involved with attracting and keeping clients. And I know you are like a master at this. So first off, what are your thoughts on the whole client acquisition process?
Yeah, one of my favorite statistics that I throw out is that if you have a $1,500 course or program or a $1,500 one-on-one coaching package, you need 67 clients just to reach six figures in revenue. And to get 67 clients, you need thousands of people coming into your funnel, and you need to be launching constantly. And, you're keeping those clients for short term, 6 weeks, max 3 months. And it creates, a lot of instability in your business. And it's hard to scale to, create a sustainable business that pays your bills and gives you that living that you had hoped when you became an entrepreneur and the lifestyle. And so, with high ticket offers, specifically with masterminds, you can reach six figures with as little as 8, 10, 12 clients. And you keep them potentially for years, not months. And the concept there is that while you might initially enroll someone into your mastermind program for a 6 month, preferably 12-month period, that's not the end of the program. If you structure it correctly in 6 or 12 months, that's just renewal time, because you structure it so that they want to stay in the program after that initial commitment of 6 or 12 months. And that's how you get to keep clients for years.
When you say that, excuse me, when you say that, I started thinking about, I know I talk to a lot of coaches and consultants, and, they say, I've got this program and it's an 8-week program. And then they have nothing after it. And, that is part of, I call it I call it the lead funnel. When you're bringing people into your business, you have some kind of a freebie that attracts them in. And then you have something that's maybe a little low ticket so they can get to know you. And then you kind of move them along. I call it the lead funnel, because you're leading them on because they get to know you and they're like, oh, wow, Jay, I really want to work with you more. How do I work with you more? And then it's like, oh, well, here's my big signature program. So when we talk about a mastermind, I'm thinking that is more of a big signature program because it's a more high ticket program. And people, when you talk about those number of people that you need in order to, hit that level, the 6-figure, 7-figure level, for many people, most people aren't going to jump saying, okay, I just met you yesterday. Sure, I'll give you $15,000. They need to be warmed up a little bit.
Yeah. So that model that you described, which is called the ascension ladder model, that is what the industry sort of promotes and what most gurus promote and how you're told to scale your business. What that really does is it keeps people playing small. In other words, these low ticket offers, these mid ticket offers, which would be like your course that's maybe $500 to $2,000, like it sort of keeps you, it sort of holds you down. And, as you sort of discussed with the lead funnel idea, I mean, if you, do this first step, low ticket, mid ticket, medium high ticket, and eventually a high ticket, program like a mastermind, it takes forever to get there. And this is also my story. Even though from my entrepreneurial experience, I knew better, I did the same thing. I followed what the gurus were telling me, and I hired coaches and bought programs and developed a low ticket, and I developed a course. I have a course. And it was like the fourth or fifth time I launched the course. And I'm looking at my numbers and I'm going, what am I doing wrong? And I had two mentors at the time, and I showed each of them my numbers, and they said, Jay, you're not doing anything wrong. You're hitting industry averages with these launches. Like, I wasn't necessarily killing it, but I was hitting industry averages with these launches. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to launch this thing like 8 or 9 times a year just to reach 6 figures and create a sustainable business. And, so I sort of, wasted about 14, 16 months going along that path. And as soon as I created my own high ticket mastermind, I tripled my revenue in the next 6 months. So the message that I try to deliver to people is that you don't necessarily need all those little steps. And I have proved the industry gurus wrong, because you just mentioned, I'm not going to spend a day with you and join your $15,000 program. Well, in fact, that's exactly what I do, and successfully. Now, it's a 3-day event, not a 1-day event, but I have people who have never really been exposed to me and come to my 3-day event and join my high ticket mastermind. So in a nutshell, what I try to reinforce to people is, number one, until you have a high ticket program, you don't really have a sustainable business, right? You've got to create that high ticket program. I think masterminds are the best high ticket program to create, and we can talk about that in a minute. But honestly, if you create that high ticket program, all you really need beyond that is some kind of downsell. Meaning, if people coming into your world, into your funnel, into your universe are pretty quickly exposed to that high ticket program, many of them are going to say, okay, no, I don't love you enough yet. I don't know you enough. I don't trust you enough yet to jump into that. What else you got? And really all you need is one good downsell from that, which could be a course. It could be a one-on-one coaching package. It could be VIP days. It's not important what it is, but you have that downsell to be able to offer to people is, okay, I understand, you haven't fallen in love with me yet. Here's my other program that I can offer you or talk to you about.
So when you say that, and I kind of staged that and set you up for that one because I knew what your answer was going to be based on our past conversation. So when you think about that, now you said, they come to your 3-day event and then you go right into the high ticket. So it's kind of like when we talk about how the traditional one is that essential model, I call it the lead funnel, bringing them in there. So you think about that way, you basically flip-flopped it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to start high. And then if they say, I'm not quite ready for that yet, hey, well, there is something if you're not quite ready for that yet. So How do you bring people in to your world so that you can get them to that spot where they're ready? I mean, if you're gonna sell a $15,000 to $20,000 program to somebody, first off, it's got to be a really good program, because people want to know, if I'm giving you 15 grand, I want to make sure that I'm getting my 15 grand back with whatever it is that you're teaching me, and then some. So the value needs to be there. So if they don't know you yet, and they don't know, well, I don't know, can this guy Jay actually provide this value? Can he actually do this? There's got to be some medium for them to come in and go, yeah, you know what? This guy sounds like he knows what he's doing. And I'll tell you right now, I've worked with some mentors too, where I listened to them in a 3-day event and I instantly signed up for their high ticket program, because I was like, these guys know what they're doing. They know who they are. They've got it down. I am so with them.
Yeah.
So how do you structure that to bring those people in?
So, we all need lead magnets, right? Preferably more than one, because you need a lead magnet that's going to attract different types of your ideal avatar, your ideal audience, and different pain points, etc. So that we do need that part of the ascension ladder for sure. But beyond that, like my model to get people to my 3-day events is actually, it's not as dependent on the lead magnet. It's more dependent on stages like this, or, I do speaking spots at other people's events and other stages that have my audience in there. And then JV partners, right, is collaborating with, people who have aligned audiences and getting them to promote people. In my case, most of those JV partners promote a masterclass, a free masterclass that I do prior to my events. And in those masterclasses, I'm explaining more about masterminds and why and what masterminds are and what they aren't. And, making the invitation to come to my event, which is a virtual 3-day. And it's a very low ticket item. It's a very low barrier to entry. It's more about committing your time to actually show up and play full out at the event. So then the event becomes the transformative experience that takes people to that level of not know, like, and trust, but know, love, and trust.
Yeah. And that 3-day, when you say that low ticket, I mean, it's basically a paid lead magnet. So many people will do that, and then they'll have like the VIP version, so you can get the recordings and all that kind of stuff if you want them. And they're very affordable. I know a group that they kill it every single month. They run a 3-day, and they bring people into their high ticket program, and they have a few hundred every single month that they do this, that are coming to these events, and they're a low ticket to get in, and it's like I think it's $27 to upgrade to VIP. And literally they catch the $27 because it basically just helps them offset some of their advertising costs. And and that's it. It's not meant to make any money. It's meant to get some commitment, because that psychological piece of people generally don't commit if something's free. But even if it's, hey, it's $9, it's $10, it's $20, it's $27, it's $97, whatever it is. Once that dollar is put down, all of a sudden there's a different level of commitment to show up.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, running a 3-day event and launching a 3-day event every month is not my idea of a good time. I do it 3 times a year, and that's plenty for me. Yeah, it's a viable model, and depending on the price of your high ticket item, it doesn't necessarily have to be a 3-day event. If you have a $5,000 to $10,000 program, you can probably do that with a 1-day, full day, 1-day event, or partial days over 3 days instead of 3 full days. Like my event is 3 8-hour days. It's grueling. But it's also has a tremendous amount of transformation and value included.
Yeah, and when you do that, and you do the 3 days, and I get the 3 times a year too, because when I first started working with these guys, and I was like, 3 days every month? Are you kidding me? The thing is that they just have a system down. And it's a team, so it's not just one person who's putting this together. And because at first I thought, you guys are crazy doing this every month, and yet then I watched it and I said, this is brilliant. They're bringing in, they are literally bringing in more and more and more people every single month. So I was like, all right, well, there's something to that. As a what we'll call it a solopreneur, even though we're entrepreneurs, meaning that, we aren't the chief cook and bottle washer. We have people who work with us. But when it comes to doing these, events and stuff like that, it's usually solo. It's usually us. So I don't know. I'm assuming that yours, I haven't been to yours yet. I'm assuming yours is also, it's just you doing what you do. So yeah, good.
Yeah. And one of the barriers, just because we're talking a lot about these 3-day events, and people hear that and go, oh my God, I don't think I could ever do a 3-day event, or they go to some of these events and it's a big production. My first 3-day event that I did, I had 2 clients help me out, volunteered. I didn't even pay them because they wanted to experience, participating and going through a 3-day event. So I had one person who was my MC and kind of watching the chat, and another person who was helping with the tech side of, the Zoom and the spotlighting and all that. And we ran that 3-day event very successfully with just me and 2 friend clients who volunteered. Now I do have a team of about 10 people that I run these events with. But even at that, it's not a huge cost to me to produce these events and run it, even with that kind of a team. So you can start out, and again, it doesn't have to be a 3-day event. You can start out with a 1-day event. You can start out with, a sort of more, a 2 to 4 hour sessions over 2 or 3 days. Part of it is just the sheer amount of time someone spends with you and in your energy, and seeing you coach people live, and getting doing workshop type things during these events, so that it's not just a talking head for 3 days.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that I've been on other 3-day events and even 5-day events. Remember when 5-day challenges were like the big thing, and everybody was doing them, and I think people are getting desensitized to these longer events because they're like, I don't have 3 days to take out of my schedule for this. And it was like, yeah, I want to learn this stuff, but there's other stuff going on. I don't have time for all this. So there's something to be said for doing the 1-day events where people can, schedule in advance and make sure that they've got it. And you can still jam pack that with a lot of value so that people want to, move forward with you.
Yeah. Not all 3-day events are equal. And I have been very fortunate. I have had many people say that my 3-day event is the best they've ever attended. I had one testimonial from a guy who, he and his wife, without exaggeration, have spent $100,000 over the last 5 years in trainings, programs, coaches, and said my 3-day event was the best training they've ever participated in. I've had people say my 3-day event, they felt like a different person when they walked out. So to me, that's the important thing. I run my 3-day events, to help fill my high ticket mastermind. But the more important thing is that people get a transformation and feel like they got real value, and they are further ahead when they walked in than, when they walk out. And so, and I have a lot of people who, because we try to confirm, are you coming for the whole thing and that kind of thing. And people, will say, nah, I can't come for the whole thing. Or, I've had very high level, like 7-figure coaches, say, yeah, Jay, I'll come for a few hours the first day just to support you and check it out. And very often they clear their calendars and come for the whole thing.
I love that. So what is your secret sauce then? I mean, you got to be doing something, because again, there's so many events out there. So if you're a coach, consultant, if you're just a business person looking for more information, there are literally hundreds of thousands of events going on at any given time. I mean, I get flooded with invitations on a pretty regular basis. And I'm like, you know what? It sounds really good. No, I can't go to everybody's event. If I go to everybody's event, I'm not getting anything done for my business.
Yeah.
So I used to a long time ago because it was the shiny object, right? It was like, oh, this one has this. Oh, that sounds interesting. I want to do that. Oh, I want to do that. Oh, I want to do that. I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything for my business. I need to strategically pick and choose where I'm going to spend my time. So if I go, Jay, this sounds really interesting. This is exactly what I need for my business right now. I will spend 3 days with you because I want to hear what you have to say because it's important to me strategically for my business. So how do you go find those people? Are you doing Facebook ads? Are you outside of stages and networking? Are you doing any Facebook ads or anything like that?
I do not run ads, and I've been able to get hundreds of people signing up for my events. So to me, there's a couple of key factors. One is just authenticity and transparency. When I show up, hopefully for anything, but especially for my 3-day events, like I'm there all in 100%, with the same authenticity and transparency that I work with my clients and how, it's how I coach. And so you really get to experience what it's like to work with somebody. So that's one important factor. In my case, it's also just about positioning, right? So it's some of the stuff we started talking about in terms of, I feel stuck in this hamster wheel. I've been successful getting some clients, but I'm experienced that client churn and the unpredictability and the constant launches. So for me, part of my, sort of messaging is that no matter where you are in your business, even if, and I'm sure there's people listening right now is like, I don't even really sure what a mastermind is. If you're not sure that that's where you want to go, then the first, I would suggest come to one of my master classes where I have the time to get into all the different types of masterminds and what they are and what they aren't. But if you've got to, as soon as possible in business, figure out where you're going, right? You need a map, you need a roadmap. And the end result of that roadmap should be your high ticket program, right? The one that you only need 8, 10, 12 clients to add 6 figures to your business. Even if you don't feel like you're ready today or next month to launch that, if you come to my Masterminds boot camp, where we literally over these 3 days, we help you figure out what is the unique custom mastermind that you want to create that takes advantage of your superpowers and, more importantly, delivers the most transformation for your clients. Who are the right people for you to start attracting it to, so that you're building that smaller pool, I call it the pond, of people who include your ideal clients, and then building a simple funnel so that you're not subject to needing thousands of leads, and you don't need one of those sales funnels with the 34 branches that make your head spin. Yeah. So if you come to my event and you walk out of it with, okay, now I see where this goes, where I can go, where I can create this high ticket program, then everything else you do, even if you're not ready to launch it right away, everything else you do day to day in your business is like, okay, does this help me get to launching my high ticket program? Or is it a shiny object distraction? Or is it yet another strategy or tactic that might fill a hole somewhere, but is it going to help me reach that ultimate goal, which is having that high ticket program where you can keep clients for years? So that's why, I think regardless of where anybody is in the business, my 3-day event is very helpful in terms of creating that vision and that roadmap.
Yeah, and I have it up on the screen right now, and I'll also, under all the platforms that we're streaming live on right now, I will make sure that this is in the comments underneath, because I know I'm going to sign up for it, because I have to check this out, because, it's one of those things. When you say mastermind, like you said, everybody has a different idea of mastermind. I mean, way back in the day, I read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and he has a mastermind book as well with his versions of masterminds, and it's basically the mastermind definition. But I've been to different masterminds that were all different formats. I've been to some 3-day masterminds. I've been to masterminds that are they're year long, and they call it a mastermind, and they meet once a month. And, so, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different types of masterminds. And I know you said in your course and stuff like that, you explain the different types and figure out which one's right for you and your business.
Yeah. So first of all, you're correct that if you run into anyone who wants to teach you how to do masterminds, who uses some cookie cutter approach to how to run a mastermind, I would run the other direction, because there are many different types and there's different ways to structure it. But frankly, first of all, 80% of the 7 and 8 figure thought leaders, coaches, healers have high ticket masterminds. But of those, probably 75% aren't really a mastermind, because many in our industry, things that are labeled a mastermind are really just glorified group coaching, meaning people show up, pray to the altar of the guru. There's a little bit of Q&A, maybe a hot seat for good measure. And they call it a mastermind because that's a little sexier and they can get more money for it, right? So what I try to do is work with my clients, and we do this in the event. So yes, there's that sort of Napoleon Hill original concept of a mastermind, which is that smaller cohort, typically like 8 to 12 people who stay together as a cohort through like a year, or in my case, the first mastermind I ever joined 25 years ago, I stayed in that mastermind for 17 years.
Wow.
Because every month I got value from being with those other people just like me, facing similar challenges and fears and frustrations, and have similar aspirations, goals. And so that is that small cohort type mastermind. Many of my clients, however, create what I call a hybrid, which is a cross between that Napoleon Hill small cohort mastermind and a traditional group coaching program. So if you sprinkle in some of the strategies and techniques and protocols that we use in true masterminds into these larger programs, that's how you get, it's all about engagement and implementation. And part of the key strategy and what distinguishes it from group coaching is building the relationships with the participants that are going through the program and bringing out the value that they can bring. So it's added value on top of your expertise, on top of your content and training, that everybody benefits from as they go through the program.
I love that idea and the concept of the hybrid, because you're exactly right. I'm thinking back to some of the masterminds I've been to, and they weren't masterminds at all. They were just, a group coaching program. And it was exactly that. It was, you listen to the person there, and there's nothing wrong with a group coaching program, but don't call it a mastermind, because it's not a mastermind. Because in my head, having, long time ago done the Napoleon Hill and read a lot of stuff way back when, and been to some traditional Napoleon Hill-ish mastermind cohorts, that was where my brain was. So when I heard mastermind, that was what I thought. And then I showed up for this other thing, and I was like, okay, so where's the mastermind? where's the mastermind components to this? So there is some confusion, I guess, in the industry as to what a mastermind really is and how effective they can actually be for your business. Because when you think about it, your process is brilliant. I mean, I love that idea of that mastermind hybrid, where you still have somebody who has that knowledge base, who can help coach and lead you, consult, and that kind of thing. But you're not just sitting there going, okay, Jay, so tell me what to do this week. What am I doing? What do I do? Tell me what to implement. Well, it's not that. It's that mastermind where you're going back and forth going, okay, look, here's what I want to do. I want to get to my first 5,000 months. I want to get to my 10,000 months. I want to get to a 20,000 month. Okay, I need to know what I'm putting into place in my business in order to meet these milestones, and without having somebody who's going, okay, well, you know what, Jay, this week I want you to implement this, and then next week I want you to implement that. And that's not a mastermind. That's a consultant telling you what to do, which doesn't necessarily always work for your business.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I run 3 masterminds. 2 of them are the smaller cohort Napoleon Hill type mastermind. But my client mastermind, my high ticket program for my clients, is a hybrid, because they want my content, my training, my coaching, and my mentoring as part of the program. So it's also why I love running this type of program, because in any particular meeting, I might for a moment be doing some training. I might for a moment be putting my coaching hat on. I might for a moment be putting my mentor hat on, which are different hats. And then I might also be the facilitator, where I'm just trying to activate that group discussion, build the relationships, get that group dynamic going, and pull the value out of the room, pull the value out of all the participants who are there to help each other, support each other, keep each other accountable, and learn from each other's success and failures.
Yeah, I really love that. And we definitely need to hear more about this. So we're out of time. I was like, I have so many questions, but we are actually out of time. And so I put it's right back up on the screen here again. It's sixfiguremasterminds.com. Go check it out. I believe, tell us a little bit about this. You said there's a couple different.
So this link, for clarification, this is not my 3-day event. This is not to sign up for the 3-day event. This is a 1-hour masterclass. And in that masterclass, which is free, I will be explaining more about the different types of masterminds and sort of getting more into the things we sort of touched on here, but more in depth, and obviously time for Q&A and answering people's questions and helping people with starting to think about what kind of mastermind they can create. So that when you go to that link, there will be a couple of dates that you can sign up for. And these masterclasses are live. There's no recordings or replays. Just 1 hour, and you learn more about masterminds.
And then from that, do you offer the 3-day?
Yes. In this masterclass, I will talk more about the 3-day event and offer the tickets to the 3-day event.
Awesome. This is I'm clicking on this link as soon as we're done here, because I definitely need to follow this, because I love this idea. I think it's very needed. And, being the author of the Unicorn Factor and my Unicorn Factor trademark here, it's all about being unique and authentic. And I think in the industry today, I think that's one of the issues in that consulting, coaching industry, is that everybody's doing the same thing. And this, while people are doing some of this, it's not the norm. It's outside the box. And it's one of those things that makes you stand out.
Yeah, thank you. It's a different model. And, I am proof in the pudding that you can make the model work. Even though I'm just like everyone else out there, I followed that ascension model, that lead funnel model that we talked about at the beginning. I followed it too. And my one regret that I have in starting my coaching business is that I didn't get to my high ticket mastermind faster. Because as I said, as soon as I did, completely changed my business.
Yeah. I mean, talk about doing a 180 and scaling up quickly, right? You go from here to here. So that is awesome. I really love that.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, we are out of time. So thank you, Jay, so much. I could keep going for a while here. So we will wrap it up. Thank you so much for your information. Don't forget, everybody, click on that link below, sixfiguremasterminds.com. It will be underneath each one of the recordings here. So in case you miss it, it will be out there. That is his free 1-hour course that will get you started with Jay so that you can hear what he has to say. And then I know I'm going to jump into the 3-day because you just sold me on the 3-day just in our conversation here. Cause I was like, okay, well, I don't know if I'm ready to jump into everything yet. However, I really want to know more. And that's how it works. You start bringing people into your world to get them to where they need to be and where they want to be. And so thank you so much for all of your wisdom today. This has been fabulous.
Thanks, Regina. Thanks for having me.
All right. We will see you all next time on Coffee with Regina. Bye for now.